The taxi screeched to a halt before the imposing iron gates of Varna University. Maya stepped out, her eyes drawn upward to the Gothic edifice that loomed against the darkening sky. Tall windows stared down at her like hollow eyes, their glass reflecting the last dying rays of sunlight. The driver's voice, low and urgent, broke through her trance. "Be careful, miss. This place, it carries shadows." Maya forced a smile, more to reassure herself than the driver. Shadows didn't scare her, or so she thought. As night fell, Maya found herself alone in her dormitory room. The smell of damp stone and rust permeated the air, a constant reminder of the building's age. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling, unable to shake the feeling of unease that had settled over her since arrival. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the occasional creak of ancient wood. Then came the sound, footsteps, slow, dragging, as if someone were pulling a broken leg along the corridor outside. Maya's breath caught in her throat as they grew closer, stopping just outside her door. Silence fell again, heavy and expected. Her heart pounded as she slowly rose from the bed, hand trembling as it reached for the doorknob. She hesitated, then yanked the door open. The hallway was empty, no figure, no shadow, but the air trembled with the faint scent of medicine and something metallic, something that made her stomach churn. Blood. The next day, Maya sought out Nikolai, a senior student she'd met during orientation. As she recounted the night's events, his face drained of color. "You're in the East Wing," he whispered, leaning close. That was Dr. Ivan Petrov's ward. His eyes darted around, as if afraid of being overheard. "He vanished in 1918. Rumors say he experimented on soldiers. Some say he never left." Curiosity gnawed at Maya, overriding her fear. That night, flashlight clutched tightly in her hand, she descended into the forbidden basement. The air grew colder with each step, the walls sweating with black mold. At the end of a narrow passage stood an iron door, rusted but unbroken. Above it, barely legible, an inscription read, "Laboratory of Dr. Ivan Petrov, no entry." The door creaked open at her touch. The beam of her flashlight cut through the darkness, revealing a scene from a nightmare. Metal tables, stained dark with age, stood in neat rows. Shelves lined the walls, filled with jars of murky yellow liquid. Some held shapes that looked disturbingly human. On the far wall, old photographs hung at odd angles. In one, a gaunt man with sharp eyes. Dr. Petrov, she assumed, stood over a group of men who looked more corpse than patient. Suddenly, the room grew colder. Maya's light flickered, threatening to plunge her into darkness. And then behind her, footsteps. She whirled around, heart in her throat. A tall, translucent figure stood in the doorway. The air around it rippled like water, distorting the world beyond. When it spoke, the voice echoed not through the air, but through her very skull. "Who dares disturb my work?" Maya's knees weakened, threatening to give out beneath her. "Dr. Petrov," she managed to choke out. The figure tilted its head, a gesture both curious and predatory. "Death is not the end," it intoned. "I found a way through, but my body, it withered. I need another, a young, strong one." The instruments on the tables began to rattle, cracks spider-webbed across the jars. Something black and viscous oozed from the fissures, crawling across the floor toward Maya. She stumbled backward, trapped between the advancing horror and the spectral doctor. In her panic, Maya's trembling hands gripped her phone. A memory flashed through her mind, old note sheet, glimpsed in the university archives. Petrov had feared the purity of light. With shaking fingers, she activated her phone's flashlight, cranking it to its highest setting. The spirit shrieked, its form twisting violently as the beam struck it. The lab shook as if the building itself was rejecting the unnatural presence. "No!" Petrov screamed, his voice a cacophony of agony and rage. "I will not return to the dark." But the light tore through his ethereal body. dissolving him into wisps of shadow that faded into nothingness. A freezing wind swept through the room, scouring away all traces of the unnatural experiments. When it died down, silence reigned. The next morning, a team of administrators found the basement completely empty. No jars, no stains, no photographs remained. It was as if nothing had ever existed there. They sealed the entrance, citing structural concerns. For weeks afterward, an uneasy calm settled over the university. Students whispered that the mysterious footsteps had finally stopped. The East Wing no longer felt quite so oppressive, but Maya knew better. Sometimes, in the dead of night, when the world was at its quietest, she would hear the faintest sound outside her door. A single step, dragging, waiting. She kept her phone charged, the flashlight always within reach, for she knew that in Varna Technical University, the shadows had not truly been banished. They merely waited, patient and hungry, for another chance to rise.